One woman pays $68 for a luxury foundation because the beauty counter promised it would firm and perfect her complexion. By noon, it catches on her dry patches, creases into her laugh lines, and oxidizes 2 shades darker. The formula that promised anti-aging aged her instead. Another woman pays $29. A working makeup artist chose it for her. She stopped switching 2 years ago. We ran all 7 through the same 5 criteria test. One clear winner. Starting with number 7, the 5 criteria: crease resistance, oxidation control, skin compatibility, wear time, and value. Each foundation tested on skin over 50. Same application, same conditions, same standard. Number 7, Bobbi Brown Skin Longwear Weightless Foundation. Around $50. Bobbi Brown is often the first prestige foundation women reach for when they decide to invest in their face. The name sounds professional, like something a makeup artist would keep in her kit, and many of us do, for younger clients. The formula is built on a heavy dimethicone base. Dimethicone creates that smooth, silky slip when you blend it out. It feels luxurious during application. On skin over 50, where texture has shifted and fine lines run deeper, that silicone layer sits on top of the skin rather than melting in. Under natural light, it works like a magnifying glass. By hour 3 on the women testing this formula, it had settled into smile lines and the creases around the eyes, creating visible texture where there was less before application. Fragrance is present. On skin that becomes more reactive with age, fragrance in a product sitting on your face for 12 hours is a question worth asking your dermatologist. This formula works for women with normal to oily skin who want a polished, full coverage finish and tolerate fragrance well. But if your foundation looks better at 9 in the morning than it does at 1 in the afternoon, the formula is working against your skin, not with it. The next one costs slightly more and markets itself with a word that sounds reassuring until you look at what it actually means for aging skin. Number 6, Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint. Around $54. Ilia built its reputation on clean beauty. For women over 50, that phrase can feel like a safety net. If the product is clean, it must be gentle. If it is gentle, it must be good for aging skin. Those are 2 completely separate questions. The first hour is genuinely beautiful. The serum texture blends like a dream. The finish is dewy without looking greasy, and the skin looks fresh and luminous. Squalane and niacinamide are in the formula, and both have real value for mature skin. The problem shows up around hour 2. On dry, mature skin, this lightweight formula begins to break apart unevenly. It fades around the nose first, then the chin. By mid-afternoon, it looks patchy in exactly the places where mature skin tends to be driest. The tint is sheer enough that there is nothing to anchor to texture, so it slides off the areas that need the most help. This works for women with normal, well-hydrated skin who prefer a natural, barely there finish and do not need their product to hold past early afternoon. Women whose skin drinks their foundation by midday will find this formula does not have enough body to keep up. The next one sits on nearly every beauty counter in the world, and its oxidation problem is one of the most discussed issues in foundation for women over 50. Number 5, Dior Forever Foundation. Around $56. If your foundation looks like your shade in the compact and then turns darker and warmer on your face by lunch, you have experienced oxidation. Dior Forever is one of the most consistent offenders on mature skin. The formula is matte first. For oily skin in its 20s and 30s, matte can look polished and editorial. On skin over 50, where moisture is already leaving faster than it used to, a matte formula pulls what little hydration remains from the surface. The result is a foundation that grabs onto every dry patch, every flake, every fine line that was barely noticeable before you applied anything. Alcohol denat sits high in the ingredient list. On skin that has lost elasticity and barrier function with age, drying alcohol is one of the ingredients dermatologists flag most often for daily use. This works for oily skin that wants long-wearing, full-coverage matte in a luxury package. Women with dry or dehydrated mature skin should be cautious. If you find yourself misting your face by 2 in the afternoon to bring some life back into your foundation, the formula is stripping moisture rather than supporting it. This is where the results in our test started to separate. Number 4, Laura Mercier Flawless Lumiere Radiance Perfecting Foundation, around $48. Laura Mercier is a working makeup artist's brand, and the Flawless Lumiere formula feels like it was built by someone who actually applies foundation on other people for a living. The texture blends smoothly across the skin. The luminous finish adds life without tipping into looking like you dipped your face in highlighter. Coverage is buildable without going cakey, which on mature skin is a balance very few formulas manage. On skin over 50, it performs noticeably better than the three before it. The formula does not oxidize as aggressively as Dior. It holds its texture longer than Elia. It sits more naturally on fine lines than Bobbi Brown. The limitation is fragrance. It is present, and for skin that has been sensitized over years of accumulated product exposure, fragrance in a daily foundation is a concern that compounds over time. The formula also lacks the skin-compatible actives, ceramides, peptides, anything that would move it from a good cosmetic product into something that genuinely supports your skin barrier while wearing it all day. This works for women who want a luminous, natural finish with solid wear time and tolerate fragrance well, women with reactive skin that flares from fragrance, and anyone looking for a foundation that does more than just sit pretty will find a stronger answer ahead. If you are finding this useful, hit subscribe. I test formulas like this every week, specifically for mature skin, so you know what actually works before you spend the money. Number 3. Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation, around $68. This is the La Mer of foundation. The packaging is stunning. The brand story is extraordinary. Pat McGrath is one of the most celebrated makeup artists alive, and the name on that bottle carries real weight in the industry, my own kit included. Flip the bottle over. The formula contains dimethicone, film-forming polymers, and smoothing agents. These are the same categories of ingredients found in $14 drugstore primers. They create a temporary smoothing effect on application, a kind of soft focus filter for the skin. On younger skin, that filter holds beautifully for hours. On skin over 50, film-forming polymers behave differently. They sit in a separate layer rather than integrating with your skin's own texture. As the face moves through the day, laughing, talking, every natural expression, that polymer layer cracks along the fold lines. The result is visible creasing in exactly the places women are most self-conscious about. The smile lines, the fine lines around the eyes, the creases between the brows. Fragrance is present. At $68, the gap between what this price promises on the beauty counter and what the formula actually delivers on mature skin is the widest on this entire list. This works for women who want a luxury application experience with a smooth, filtered finish and have skin that does not crease heavily during the day. Women over 50 whose primary concern is crease resistance and all-day wear are paying luxury prices for drugstore-level polymer technology in a beautiful jar. Between number 3 and number 2, our test showed the widest gap in real-world performance. Number 2, YSL Touche Éclat Le Teint Foundation, around $55. YSL built its name on light. The Touche Éclat line is one of the most recognized foundations in the world for luminous finish, and on first application, the reputation is deserved. The formula gives skin a lit-from-within glow that looks natural rather than artificial. It does not sit on top. It appears to radiate from the skin itself. On mature complexions, that quality is rare and genuinely valuable. Hyaluronic acid is present. The texture is lightweight enough for daytime wear under powder without balling or pilling. The shade range is broader than several competitors at this price point. For the first 2 hours on skin over 50, this foundation performs beautifully. The issues emerge after that window. Fragrance is present, and on reactive mature skin, this is the same recurring concern we have seen throughout this list. Crease resistance drops visibly around hour 3. The formula begins to settle into the nasolabial folds and the fine lines around the eyes. By late afternoon, the luminous finish tips toward looking slightly oily without actually providing moisture where the skin needs it. YSL Touche Éclat came closer than anything else on this list. The initial light quality is outstanding. The first 2 hours are comfortable and genuinely beautiful. But the crease pattern after hour 3 and the fragrance keep it from the top position for women who need foundation to perform all day without compromise. This works for women who want a luminous, elegant finish for shorter wear windows or events and tolerate fragrance well. Women who need crease resistance past hour 3 or whose skin has developed fragrance sensitivity over the years will find the answer at number 1. Quick pause. After running this test, I kept coming back to the same pattern. Women over 50 are choosing foundation based on the name on the compact, not the formula inside it. I put together a free guide with 5 ingredient patterns I now look for before recommending any foundation to a client over 50. The link is in the description. It is free. The winner addresses the concern that matters most to women over 50 and performed where every other foundation on this list eventually fell apart. Number 1. Luxe Color Changing Foundation. Around $29. You will not find this brand at the beauty counters listed above because the budget went into the formula rather than counter placement or a celebrity face on the compact. And in 30 years of testing foundations on clients of every skin type and age, this is the first formula where the shade question disappears entirely. The color-changing technology adapts to your individual skin tone on contact. That means the oxidation problem that plagues Dior, that shows up in Pat McGrath, that quietly shifts the shade in YSL by afternoon, does not exist here. The shade you see 10 minutes after blending is the shade you see at dinner. On mature skin, where oxidation makes you look muddy and tired by the end of the day, that single feature eliminates one of the biggest frustrations women over 50 deal with in foundation. The formula does not contain film-forming polymers that crack along expression lines. It does not rely on heavy dimethicone layering that magnifies texture on the surface. Instead, it uses a skin-compatible base that works with your face's own moisture, rather than sitting on top of it in a separate layer. The finish is what women describe when they say your skin, but better. Your face, looking even, looking rested, like you slept well and drank enough water. The sensitizing compounds that appeared in 6 of the 7 formulas on this list are absent here. On skin that has become reactive after decades of daily product exposure, that absence is the difference between a foundation you can wear without thinking about it and one that quietly irritates your barrier while you have it on. Crease resistance across our full wear test was the strongest on this list. The formula did not settle into laugh lines, nasolabial folds, or the fine creases fanning from the outer corners of the eyes, even through a full day of wear. For women who have been blotting, pressing powder into their creases, and reapplying by noon for years, that kind of hold changes the entire daily routine. Across every criterion, crease resistance, skin compatibility, wear time, and value, this formula scored highest on our list. $29 against a $68 formula built on primer-grade polymers and fragrance. The woman at the beginning paying $68 is not wrong to want excellent foundation. She is wrong about what excellent foundation looks like at that price. If the formula settles into her lines by lunch, oxidizes on her skin by afternoon, and contains ingredients dermatologists flag for reactive complexions, the money is paying for a name, not a result. The woman paying $29 is not settling. She is wearing the formula that passed all 5 criteria on skin over 50. I found the Luxe for less on Amazon, so I'm going to leave a link in the description if you want to check the current price. 7 foundations, 1 test, 5 criteria. The winner costs $29. Drop in the comments which of these 7 you are currently wearing, and after this test, are you keeping it or switching?